How are you?
Doing well. How are you doing today, Attorney Jefferson?
I am doing very well. Very well for a
Awesome.
Thursday.
Yes, Friday Eve, I like to call it. Happy Thursday or Friday Eve to everyone out there on the interwebs. I am Attorney Jamila Little, and of course, I'm joined by the esteemed Attorney Nehemiah Jefferson. And this is our Thursday afternoon. As you guys know, we meet here to talk about different topics, legal and otherwise. So today we're going to be talking about an interesting topic, IRS scammers. So, as you know, Attorney Jefferson is a tax attorney. We just ended tax season. And there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that some of us don't know about, some of us actually need to be aware of so we can protect ourselves. And the IRS apparently posts IRS Dirty Dozen scams each year. So, Attorney Jefferson, take it away. Tell us a little bit more.
Well, yeah, each and every year the IRS publishes, they put out what is called a Dirty Dozen. And these are the 12 areas in which they see the most abuse as it relates to the tax law. And many of these things you may or may not be familiar with, but I thought what we'll do today is allow me to quickly run down the Dirty Dozen. At least this list was published on last month, on April 5th of last month. And this list that I'm going to talk about or go over, it is on the IRS website. But number one on the list is the Employee Retention Credit,
Mm.
also known as ERC. Those of us who are business owners who have not received calls over the past year or so, something is wrong because it seems like we're receiving text messages and
Emails.
calls as it relates to this ERC. Have you received them?
Yes, emails, calls,
Yeah.
absolutely. I actually did it. I had a company that walked me through that process.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there are a lot of promoters out there. And unfortunately, though, that there are individuals who are making promises, and there are many businesses that will not qualify for this
Mhm.
ERC or this employee retention credit. I would say, first and foremost, if you have not filed Form 941, and I know some may be thinking, well, what is 941? If you have not filed this form, which is a payroll form with the IRS, you should not even consider listening to anybody that talk about the ERC. So if you decide to go down that road, our website, which is americastaxattorney.com, is on your screen. Please give me a call if you decide to go down that road because I have a feeling you may need our services. Please do not apply for this credit if you have not filed the appropriate forms previously for tax years 20 and 21. So that's number one on the list. The second thing on the list is phishing and smishing. And when I saw this list, Attorney Little, I didn't know what smishing
Yeah, not sure what
was.
smishing is. Actually, I'm not even sure what
Smishing.
phishing is. So,
Smishing is an unsolicited text message. I think we all have received them. In fact, lately, I get quite a few unsolicited text messages. And that's a new term to me. Smishing is what it's called, unsolicited text messages. And then, of course, we're all or should be familiar with phishing, which is an email that is a fraudulent email or an email that is attempting to steal our identity. Of course, those of us who are attorneys, we're warned about that quite a bit through the Florida bar. Is that correct?
yeah, no, yeah, we definitely have to look out for don't click on it, right?
Do not, do not. Yeah. Number three, online account help from third party scammers. Yeah, we always have to be mindful of those who are attempting to steal information, specifically personal information. When we talk about the IRS or your online account, your online transcripts, that is very, very personal information. So we need to be mindful of those who are asking or trying to assist us as it relates to third party help. Number four is a big one. I have actually seen this come up in practice, but that is false fuel tax credit claims.
Hmm.
So those of you who have businesses, look at your Schedule C very, very closely. The fuel tax credit is not for most individuals. It is primarily for heavy road use or farmers. So if you're not a farmer, if you don't have any heavy, heavy road use, you probably should not be using this credit. I say heavy road use or off highway business and farming use. That's
So
the
we
more
we
technical
can't
term.
just use this
Yeah,
credit if we're driving around in
correct.
our cars. Okay,
Absolutely.
gotcha.
Number five, fake charities. Yes, there are a number of charities that are bogus. You can actually go to the IRS website and look up those charities who have IRS designations like 501c3. So if there's a charity that is asking you to contribute, you can actually go to the IRS website and verify that they are legitimate.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Number six, I believe number six, unscrupulous tax return preparers. Of course, we
Mm.
always need to be mindful of those individuals who we hire to prepare our tax returns. There are a number of individuals who might want to prepare your tax return, but do not want to take responsibility for it. Those individuals or preparers are called ghost preparers. So, one of the things that you might want to do is look on the second page of your tax return, which is Form 1040. Doing this, you want to make sure that the tax preparer information is there towards the bottom of the page, that they have signed or taken responsibility for the return, and that is not empty or that it does not say self-prepared.
Mm.
Does this happen to come up as in immigration law, Attorney Little?
You know what? It does. I think tax preparers and form preparers, immigration form preparers, sometimes are housed in the same offices. You know, sometimes you drive by and you see them. So yeah, we actually do see sometimes people who are just like document preparers who would prepare different immigration forms, sometimes correctly, sometimes incorrectly. So I always try to tell clients just for their own safety, you know, for their own protection. You want to make sure that, and probably same in your world of taxes, you want to make sure that whoever you are getting assistance from is a licensed professional who can take responsibility for what they've done. You know, we do have the Florida bar, and I always say, yes, the bar will get you. So, you know, we're regulated by the Florida bar. And so if there's something that happens in a case that does not meet bar rules, then obviously we'll be held accountable. So in the same vein, you want to always, whether it's taxes, immigration, whatever, make sure that you are using a licensed professional. So we certainly have that come up as well.
Absolutely. Now, the next one is a huge one: social media, fraudulent form filing, and bad advice.
Ah,
My timeline is full of people providing bad, wrong, incorrect, and flat out fraudulent advice.
that's
It-
scary.
it's very, very scary. And it's very disturbing to me that the world, I would say as a whole, not as a whole, but let me just say a great majority of people will listen to these fast talkers, as I like to call them, people who speak very eloquently, make things sound so good, and take no further steps to do any further research as to whether what they're saying is either somewhat accurate or if they even have the credentials, the background, the education, the experience to even talk about what they are selling or promoting. And so the IRS has identified that there are many people out there that are just flat out giving bad advice. And so if you take this bad advice and it ultimately ends up on your tax return, or you take some some steps in furtherance of some of the things that they talk about. For example, falsifying or creating W-2s or
Wow.
creating tax documents. These things could really land you in
Hot
hot
water.
water.
Really?
And and I would like to remind, I'll take an opportunity to remind those who are watching or who will watch this, is that we provide help to individuals, businesses, and other tax professionals as it relates to both civil and criminal tax problems. So if anything related to tax, if you if it appears, or as we like to say back in law school, smells of fraud,
Smell
you
test. Yep.
you absolutely need to contact a tax attorney, not a CPA, not an accountant, not an enrolled agent. Anything related to criminal tax matters, you need to speak to an attorney, a tax attorney, for the most confidential as well as complete advice. So just be mindful that everybody that is talking on social media, they don't always know what they're talking about.
Yeah, you definitely have to check that out before you take advice on from
Yeah.
from social media.
Yeah. Spear phishing and cybersecurity for tax
Mm,
professionals. So obviously, tax professionals as well as attorneys, we often are in possession or handling, come in contact with very, very sensitive and confidential information. So we have to recognize that we are targets. And if you are a tax professional, you need to take cybersecurity very, very seriously. We're constantly, Attorney Little, I know you see the emails, we're constantly reminded about cybersecurity. Uh,
yeah,
Even doing things as simple as changing our passwords often
yeah,
and having certain controls in place to protect our client information or potential client information.
absolutely. So important.
Another one that comes up are what are called offer and compromise meals. Meals, as in
Oh,
MILLS.
really? Okay,
So offering and compromise meals. So you have, everybody has heard the radio or the television. Settle your tax debt for pennies on the
ah,
dollar.
yes.
And yes, it is possible, up under the right circumstances, to perhaps settle part of your tax debt. But I'll give a simple disclaimer here. The majority of people do not qualify. Just think about it in layman's terms, so to speak. If the Let's say you owe the IRS $50,000, but you got $50,000 in equity in your home, or you got $50,000 in a 401k or some type of retirement. Well, the IRS is not going to settle your tax debt because they know they can collect from you in one of those two ways. They know that
Right.
they can either get the equity from your home, or have you cash out your 401k. So people need to be mindful of those companies who promise that they can settle your debt, and especially, you don't want to give a large fee to a company promising what they can do for you, and you have not shared any of the pertinent information that they need to help decide whether you can settle your tax debt or do anything for that matter for you.
Mm. So
So be mindful of that. Yeah.
in that case, would it be better maybe to do something like a payment plan with the IRS?
Well, one of the things that we do is what is called a financial and legal analysis. So sometimes clients contact us and we don't know what the ultimate or best resolution
Right.
is because we don't have all of the information. So we may have to research and
Mm,
investigate. And through that research and investigation and obtaining the documents that we need, we can oftentimes provide a solution. And so
right.
that is something that we charge for, but oftentimes the client likes having an idea as to what they can do before they pay money up front, not knowing
Absolutely.
ultimately what they can do.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. And then the last few are schemes aimed at high income filers, things such as charitable remainder, annuity, trust, very, very complex things, tax avoidance strategies. Many of those you hear about from time to time, like syndicated conservation easements, which are interesting um, things that are often, again, used or have been used in the past to try to avoid paying taxes. And then there are other schemes as it relates to international matters like offshore accounts and digital assets. But for the most part, that is the dirty dozen for 2023.
So this is kind of like a buyer beware, right?
Indeed.
When you're getting out there and you're doing your taxes, you want to try to avoid these things, but you also want to make sure that whoever you've entrusted to do your taxes isn't going to put you in a precarious position where you're now kind of maybe faced with some other issues that may come up.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. Well, that was news to me. A lot of those I had no idea about.
Okay.
So
Send us questions. If you're watching, send us a message. Anything that you desire to talk about, we are waiting, should I say, and willing to try to answer your questions.
absolutely. Well,
So
again,
next week, are we going to talk about pledging on next week?
wow. Well, now you said it. I guess we have to. Possibly, quite possibly, we may throw that in next week. Maybe we'll see. But we'll have some more interesting topics for you guys. As Attorney Jefferson says, go ahead and give us some comments. Tell us what are the topics you might want to hear us discuss. And we'll be here on Thursday afternoons for the most part. And we'll love to hear from you guys. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.